Foreign Minister of Australia, Honorable Penny Wong. External Affairs Minister of India, Honorable Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Singapore, Honorable Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan. Foreign Ministers of the representative countries. Secretary Generals of the representative organizations. Of course, Ram Mahadeva and the Indian Foundation. Excellencies, representatives of think tanks, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure to be here in Perth for the 7th edition of the Indian Ocean Conference. I thank the Australian government for the hospitality afforded to all of us. I also thank the India Foundation for once again bringing us together. The theme of this conference, towards a stable and sustainable Indian Ocean, could not be timelier and more appropriate. The Australian continent is unique in that it has borders with both Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Perth played a crucial role in the history of Sri Lanka-Australia relations. During World War II, Royal Canadian Air Force Catalina flying boats traversed the expanse of the Indian Ocean, connecting Perth with the Koggal Air Base in Ceylon, the only air link between Indian subcontinent and Australia. Known as the Double Sunrise flights, they operated a non-stop route up to 32 hours in radio silence to ensure the success of a critical air route during World War II for the Allies. The Japanese attack in April 1942 on the Indian Ocean, especially Ceylon, was described by Churchill as the most dangerous moment of the war, highlighting the importance of the Indian Ocean to the British Empire. I was just talking with Dr. Balakrishnan, and we said there was no carrier battles in the Indian Ocean for the simple reason the Japanese sank the only British carrier. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me highlight a few important developments which I hope will make a contribution to your deliberation. Firstly, historically speaking, the Indian Ocean is a multipolar and has resisted domination by a single power. The multipolarity is a reflection of the essence of the Indian Ocean region and its people. As Asia emerged from colonialism, the newly independent countries of Asia, Ceylon, Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, Burma and Pakistan, convened the Bandung Conference in 1955 to oppose colonialism in all its forms. The conference declaration to oppose big power rivalry in turn led to the non-aligned movement. Since then, the Indian Ocean region has been influenced by the spirit of Bandung. It has never become a part of the US hub and spoke system. The past 2 decades has seen the emergence of diverse framings of the Indian Ocean region and a flurry of diplomatic activity articulating various policy positions, tilts and frameworks. What is clear is that no single objective geopolitical construct has emerged, and we are left instead with a contested vision with multiple interpretations. The key frameworks that have emerged include, in addition to IORA, the Indo-Pacific, the BRI, the Quad and the BRICS. There are also regional organizations including ASEAN, ARF, ACD, BIMSTEC, SAARC, GCC, Arab League, OIC, SADC, EAC and SCO that have been established. Additionally, we have the operational arrangements that deal with specific areas of cooperation, including RCEP, IONS, the Djibouti Code of Conduct, IOTC, and the Indian Ocean Commission, MAS, and the 4 regional information fusion centers, and the CGPCS contact group on piracy off the coast of Somalia. Along with these frameworks and groupings, we have also seen an increased militarization of the Indian Ocean, which is redefining power balances and alliances. In the maritime space, we see a building up in naval capabilities with India, USA, Australia, UAE, Saudi Arabia and China, all increasing their naval presence significantly. Therefore, balancing between the great power rivalry is becoming an increasingly more complex task. As a result, the space of maneuverability for littoral states is shrinking fast as this rivalry in the Indian Ocean region intensifies and spills over into decision making on political, economic and security issues. The probable question to choose one over the other is perennially hanging over us. Secondly, the geopolitical developments has resulted in increase in the strategic importance of the Western Indian Ocean that was not foreseen 4 years ago. This is in turn shifting the geopolitical emphasis towards the Indian Ocean. The Ukrainian war and the consequent Western sanctions on Russia has resulted in the resource-rich economy finding new markets in China and the Western Indian Ocean. For example, Russian crude oil is refined in Gulf refineries. Dubai has replaced London as the financial center for the oligarchs. Russia has developed a closer friendship with Iran, which is an important source of supply for drones. Russia is carrying on naval exercises with Indian Ocean countries including Myanmar and South Africa. China itself has played an active role in healing the rift between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran, its allies have become important players in West Asia. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, with India, Pakistan and Iran as members, have the Western Indian Ocean as its outer limits. The ill-advised judgment of the US in supporting the Gaza war will diminish its influence in the region. The hostility of the countries forming the Islamic Arc in the Indian Ocean will prevent any close rapprochement with USA for some time. The Russian, Chinese and Iranian strategies are successfully biting at the US hegemony, thereby further weakening the US. The Indian Ocean stability therefore requires an early end to the Gaza war, followed by A, the establishment within 5 years of an independent Palestine state, and B, guarantees for the security of the State of Israel. Thirdly, the recent attacks on commercial vessels by Yemen-based Houthi rebels is a challenge to the freedom of navigation. We have to ensure access and mobility in Suez Canal, the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb and the Gulf of Aden. In addition, we are also faced with threat of Somali pirates once again. The safety of undersea cables and critical infrastructure are also facing additional threats. The presence of drugs in the Indian Ocean and human smuggling has increased. The IUU fishing still takes place. These threats present a challenge to the freedom of navigation in the Indian Ocean. We need to refocus on the freedom of navigation in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka offers to recommence the discussions on the freedom of navigation in this ocean. Fourth is the expanding connectivity. According to estimates, there will be an 8-fold increase in the GDP of India and Indonesia by 2050. Similar increases are expected in some of the other countries in South and West Asia. This requires additional port capacities and new transport routes. The Suez Canal may not be sufficient. In this regard, India's 2 new connectivity initiatives are welcome. Firstly, the India-Mumbai, Iran-Russia corridor, and secondly, the India, that's Mumbai, Middle East, European corridor. Similarly, there are connectivity initiatives taking place in the Bay of Bengal. Work has already commenced on the Kunming corridor, giving access to Western China. Thailand is planning the Kra land bridge connecting the Gulf of Siam with the Bay of Bengal. India and Sri Lanka are commencing feasibility studies on land connectivity between the two countries, making Sri Lanka a regional logistic hub with Colombo and Trincomalee ports available to South India. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Ocean Conference theme this year, towards the more stable and sustainable Indian Ocean, highlights the 2 key areas which require focus. What I have outlined before dealt primarily with pursuing stability of the region. There is an equally serious, more immediate and existential threat that looms, and that is the climate crisis. Experts have revealed that the Indian Ocean is warming at a higher rate than the other oceans around the world. The levels of warming are estimated to be 3 times higher than in the Pacific Ocean, and coastal areas across the IOR will experience continuous rise in sea levels and face severe coastal erosion. The Indian Ocean is also rising at a level of 3.7 millimeters annually, and the extreme sea disasters are inevitable. The island states of the IOR are vulnerable and have to be provided with adequate resources to mitigate the effects of climate change. Changes at sea also affect monsoon patterns and in turn impact on agriculture and food security across the Indian Ocean region. They also impact on the biodiversity and in turn on food and livelihood of people of the littoral states. The Indian Ocean presents opportunities in terms of ecology. Not only it's our biggest sink for carbon, but it also provides potential for mitigating the climate crisis through offshore wind, solar and wave energy. Through seaweed farming and mangrove cultivation, we can increase the sequestration of carbon. Sustainable exploitation of our ocean resource is critical for our survival, as the ocean provides for our future. At COP28, Sri Lanka proposed 3 key initiatives: the Tropical Belt Initiative, including the Indian Ocean, the International Climate Change University, and the Climate Justice Forum. As the current chair of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, Sri Lanka is focusing on the interdependence between the Indian Ocean and climate change. The Climate Change Justice Forum aims to accelerate financing of losses and damages and includes debt justice as an essential component of the overall solution. Any proposal mitigation and adaptation intervention must take into account the debt component faced by climate vulnerable and developing countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an uncertain times. The stability we had taken for granted since the end of World War II and the Cold War is unraveling. Globalization is being challenged, as is multilateralism. The climate crisis is affecting prospects for trade and economic development around the world. It is impacting on food security, livelihoods, supply chains, biodiversity and maritime transportation. Either we can wait for global development to dictate our fate or unite so that we may chart our own course. Creating a safer ocean environment by building confidence and predictability among users and enhancing ocean situational awareness will be key to maintaining peace and security in the Indian Ocean. The main platform that can undertake this important task is the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Ensuring a peaceful and secure Indian Ocean would facilitate sustainable use of oceans for the economic and social benefit of coastal and littoral states. An overarching architecture for the Indian Ocean that deals with critical issues is required. The basis for such a structure is already in existence, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and the recently adopted BBNJ Agreement in 2023 on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction or the High Seas Treaty. A code of conduct on freedom of navigation and overflight and unimpeded commerce and similar guiding principles on dealing with the climate crisis and the sustainable use of the Indian Ocean are necessary. Only the leaders of the Indian Ocean countries can ensure that these measures are translated to the creation of an overarching regional architecture for the Indian Ocean region. Therefore, the responsibility lies with us. I thank you.